All right, good morning and welcome into another edition of Prize Picks on Five from the Five Reasons Sports Network. I'm David Eversole, joined, of course, by Eric Wadicki. You can follow him at Eric Wadicki. You can follow me at David W. Eversole. Before we jump in and talk about the quarterbacks for Super Bowl 58, want to make sure that we mention our promo code FIVE. For new signups, you'll get a 100% deposit match up to $100. So use that code FIVE if you're new to PrizePicks. We appreciate your support. It helps us bring you great content. Want to help or thank Eric for getting up early to walk through the quarterback board. So to give you a little overview on what we're going to do over the next few days, we're going to be previewing each position group for the Super Bowl on the PrizePicks board leading up to the game on February 11th. But we want to talk about the quarterbacks first. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes is going to be, one of the marquee names in this game. And PrizePicks right now is running a promo, basically a free square with him over the half passing yard until right up until game time. So that's obviously going to be one that you can use in your entry if you haven't already. You can use that up to $25 on the free pick. So let's talk about numbers outside of this free play with Mahomes, Eric. Obviously, a lot of people may have used that already. So what do you think about Patrick Mahomes in this game, just overall generally?
Ooh, my feeling on this game is that it's going to be much more of a defensive slugfest than maybe a lot of people might anticipate. These are two teams that are really anchored by their defenses. I'm looking at the passing yards numbers for Mahomes, and if anything, I'm looking at the Goblin there at 224.5. If I'm touching anything, I think his current number at even 244.5 is the standard number there. I wouldn't want to go ahead and really risk that. The other thing that I'm looking at with Mahomes is, if I'm going to look at Mahomes, I'm looking at the rush yards in this one. This is, again, 49ers team that's got a really solid defense. So I could see Mahomes kind of getting out of the pocket, doing what he has to do to get those extra yards.
Yeah, obviously Mahomes steps up in the big moments and is willing to get outside the pocket and scramble. I kind of like the 25 seems a little bit high to me, just because of the 49ers linebackers. They're a good tackling team. So I would actually lean under on that. I've held out on the Mahomes free square, so I'm going to be adding that to my entry. And also at the end of this, leading up to the Super Bowl, one of our last shows, we're going to put out a 6-pick entry from the whole group, with basically the top pick from our contributors across the network. So stay tuned for that over the next few days. And these numbers may fluctuate a little bit. Guys tweak something in a practice leading up. But, I think we're going to start to see some movement a little bit on the numbers as it gets closer to the game. So for Mahomes, I'm going to stay away from the rushing yards. If anything, I would play that under. What do you think about this INT number here at half an interception?
I'm looking at it, and the style of quarterback that Patrick Mahomes plays makes me want to say yes. But then I look at the Chiefs offense and I look at this matchup against the Niners, and they're going to be getting Isaiah Pacheco involved a lot in this one. And so I'm almost tempted to lean under on the half, even though I don't like to do that on just a half play.
Yeah.
Just because I don't know if Mahomes is going to have as much responsibility on him as he normally does.
Right. If you're going to attack the 49ers, typically you're going to go after the run defense. That's not the strength of the defense per se. But speaking of the 49ers, let's take a look at everybody's new favorite quarterback, Brock Purdy, in this game. So his normal number's at 244.5. He's got the Goblin play real friendly at 199.5. I think he cruises over that pretty easily. But there's two things I wanted to touch on with Purdy: the 12.5 rush yards. Now, we talked about Mahomes, obviously, and over the last 2 weeks, you can see what Purdy's been able to do outside of the pocket on kind of those out-of-script type plays. But I feel like this number is inflated. I really do. This number was 5.5 going into the Detroit game. Obviously, you see he went for 48 yards. I feel like this is a reactionary number. And Kansas City is also one of those teams that is going to kind of contain you, and they're going to be blitzing a lot. Spags is, you saw what they did last week. I think they're going to dial up a lot of pressure again this week on Brock Purdy. and get to him. So I'm going to go actually under on Brock Purdy on the 12.5 rushing yards. And if I was going to play anything with him, I'd probably play him on this Goblin play over 199. What do you think about Purdy, Eric?
It's funny. It's funny because I like the rushing yards play on the other side. Just because I do think Brock Purdy has kind of discovered his legs in the last couple of weeks, even went over that number against Green Bay. And then with those really aggressive defenses, it's almost at least once or twice a game on those blitz. If they get by Brock Purdy and there's an alley up the middle, I can see him getting out, just once and getting like a 12, 13-yard run.
Now the INTs are interesting with Purdy. Kansas City wasn't a big interception team. They only had 8 picks all year. They got 2 in the playoffs, and Purdy should have had probably 3 interceptions against Detroit. Honestly, they dropped a few. So I think Kansas City gets one in this game. I'm going to take him over on the half INT. And if you want to look at the quarterback rushing yards, the 38.5 combo play is interesting with Purdy and Mahomes. You could kind of hedge your bets either way with that. You're looking at like 20 yards per guy on that. So if I was going to play the quarterback rushing, I might actually look at that combo play because obviously the NFL sacks don't penalize you for rushing yards. So I feel like that may be more of a realistic play. And also the 21 completions for Purdy. He's a pretty accurate quarterback, but it's just the volume with him in terms of attempts seems to fluctuate. You can look at his attempts. I mean, some games he's over 30, and then some games he's at 25. So it's kind of a hit or miss. I don't really like the attempts completions with Purdy. He gets a lot of his yards, with the Deebo Samuels and the IU's kind of getting loose. The dump off to McCaffrey. You hate to say he's a yak merchant, but San Francisco is kind of known for that. So if they can hit the big explosive plays, I think Purdy's going to have a good day in terms of passing yards overall. But I don't like him on the volume numbers. I don't like him on the 31.5 pass attempts, and I don't like him on the completions. If any of us can play any of those two, I'd probably play under on the attempts, under 31.5. So, well, that's a look at the quarterbacks. We're going to come back tomorrow with a look at the running back group, obviously, with McCaffrey and angry Isaiah Pacheco. 2 really, really good running backs in this game, obviously. It's a star-studded affair overall. And we're going to touch on the position groups. We'll take a look at the defense, the kickers, and just give you an overall sense of the matchups and the plays that we like in this game. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in early this morning with us. And make sure you use that code FIVE. Thank you all.